Hello, hello, and welcome back to MoJo JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the one and only Powerpuff Girls / JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recap and discussion podcast. I'm Raven.
And I'm Alison.
I'd just like to, before we start, ask that y'all like and subscribe and leave a review or comment if you haven't already. I'd really like to get the pod out to more folks, and the best way to do that is by leaving us more reviews so we show up, I guess, higher in podcast lists and stuff when you search for us.
If you leave us a review, we will be reading some of them on the podcast.
Yeah, and we also have another podcast, What We Pod in the Shadows, where we discuss what we do in the shadows. If you'd like to hear us talk some more about vampire TV shows.
And maybe something that's not animated.
Yeah.
A nice little comedy.
Some silly vampires. So the episodes we're going to be discussing this week on the pod are Yellow Temperance and The Emperor and the Hanged Man Part 1. So that is the first half of our first ever JoJo two-parter.
Okay, so episode 9, Yellow Temperance. Jotaro and Kakyoin take Anne to get coconut juice, and a guy picks Kakyoin's pocket, and he sends Hierophant Green after him. So, I mean, I don't know. They just start calling her Anne. I guess her name is Anne. Kakyoin turns green and weird like the lady doctor at the school and cusses the guy out and knees him in the face. Then Kakyoin picks the thief up and is basically trying to break his back while he coughs up blood when Jotaro steps in and stops him. Both Anne and Jotaro note that these actions were unlike Kakyoin. Kakyoin says criminals should be punished. He says Jotaro is overreacting, then changes tactics and says he's in a bad mood from all the travel. Jotaro says Gramps and Abdul decided they should travel to India by train and leave the next day. They need to take a cable car to the station to get tickets. When Jotaro turns away, Anne sees Kakyoin eating huge beetles from a tree. Kakyoin almost pushes Jotaro off a balcony, then excessively plays with a maraschino cherry with his tongue. He's like, lick, 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 la, 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 like, it's weird. He eats it after it falls on the ground, and then, it looks like he grows bigger. Jotaro punches him in the face, and his jaw about falls off. They are now on the cable car. So it's like they were just getting, these coconut juice thingies, and then the next thing you know, they have, sundaes with maraschino cherries. I don't know where those came from. And then, they were, how they got from the balcony scene to the cable car. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I think the balcony was near the cable cars.
Have a good transition there. Jotaro realizes he's not Kakyoin and doesn't think it could be a stand because he was able to touch it. So, punch the fake Kakyoin. He doesn't think the fake Kakyoin is a stand because normally they're invisible sort of or untouchable. I don't know. The fake Kakyoin turns into a ripped, shirtless guy with this golden goo around his neck, which he says is Yellow Temperance. Some of the goo is on Jotaro's pinky from when he punched the fake Kakyoin. This stand can eat and get bigger. He says his goo won't come off. Jotaro tries to sick Star Platinum on the guy, but where the goo touches Star Platinum, it burns on Jotaro. Anne is still at the station and tries to call Gramps to ask for help and explain the situation. The real Kakyoin shows up in Gramps' room. Jotaro jumps from the cable car. The goo is eating Jotaro's finger. It fuses with flesh. He worries he may have to cut off his finger. Jotaro tries to burn the goo off with a lighter, but it grows bigger. The goo itself increases. He jumps to another cable car to take a kid's popsicle. He applies the popsicle to the goo and spikes come out. A lady on the cable car says fire and ice won't work on it. She claims it has no weakness, then laughs like Ursula the Sea Witch. Kind of honks her boob or something too. The woman's legs they're kind of I don't know, it's gelatinous or something, and the boy's puppy is sort of stuck in that goo, and the dad freaks out and he pulls at the leash and the puppy's head comes off. I'm don't need this with the animals. I mean, like, I sort of wasn't surprised. I kind of assumed it was going to die, but
Yeah, unfortunately, dogs do not do well in JoJo.
the lady turns into the stand user. Even though Star Platinum is fast, Yellow Temperance is faster. What is this guy's name?
So, I think we don't learn it in canon, but his name is Rubber Soul. I guess it's this Beatles album. I don't like the Beatles, so I don't know.
Rubber Soul covers Jotaro in the goo and threatens to eat him, but Jotaro says he still has one strategy, which is to jump into the water where Rubber Soul can't breathe. Jotaro punches him in the face, and he freaks out about his broken nose and jaw and wants to give up. He says Dio paid him and doesn't want to risk his life. Jotaro asks for info on the other stand users, which are the Emperor, Hanged Man, Empress, and Death. He says the Witch Lady's son is Centerfold and the one with two right hands, and his stand is the Hanged Man, and he uses a mirror. Rubber Soul uses a manhole cover to send his goo through a pipe again at Jotaro in order to pull Jotaro into the pipe. So, I don't know, he keeps trying to use his goo to, like, digest Jotaro, I guess. He tries to trash talk Jotaro and absorb some crawdads as he brags about the millions Dio will pay him. Somehow Jotaro punches him with water, then grabs him by the hair. Star Platinum wails on the guy. Next, the five are on the train wondering about Anne. Kakyoin annoyingly plays with a maraschino cherry with his tongue, and it appears as though Anne has stowed away on the train. So he's doing that stupid la 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 thing again, like the fake Kakyoin was doing.
Yeah, I'm like, how did that guy somehow manage to get that characteristic of Kakyoin right? And he's just like, I'm a grumpy asshole and I'll beat up everyone. Is it very convincing otherwise? So, like I said, the stand user is named Rubber Soul after a Beatles album with the same name. The dude who is the voice actor for Rubber Soul, Ray Chase, also voiced Donovan and Loggins in Part 2. And then the card Temperance and Tarot represents balance, harmony, purpose, and moderation. It can appear when there's a need for balance in opposing areas in your life. It's there to tell you to be patient and re-examine your priorities. The card features a winged woman holding two cups and attempting to balance and keep the water between the two cups. I almost wonder with some of these, I don't usually, when I read tarot, read the reversals. I used to for a bit, but it just made it harder to memorize them. I'm almost wondering if maybe they're meant to represent, like, the reversals, the bad side of the tarot, or the more negative side. I don't know. That's just my theory. Because it's temperance, but then he's, like, greedy.
Maybe at least, yeah, for the supposed bad stand users.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, Anne was on the train. I don't know. But why would she get on the train? She was supposed to be waiting for her dad, which I have had my doubts about that.
Yeah.
For a while. When they said she had to wait 5 days, I was like, there's no dad.
I don't remember what exactly the situation is, which is probably a good thing because I don't want to, like, accidentally, like, spoil it or anything. I will start talking about the next episode, which is The Emperor and the Hanged Man Part 1. The Joestar group have traveled from Tokyo to India at this point. Many detours their way. Joseph and Polnareff worry about the culture gap in India, calling it the land of curry and disease. Abdul tells them not to worry, that India is a great place. They get off the train and are immediately crowded by people trying to sell them stuff, give them their money, and Kakyoin has his wallet stolen. Abdul's like, see, isn't India great? It's the people that makes it great.
I'm not sure why they're worried that much. I feel like they're just stopping there, maybe either to eat or just maybe overnight, and they're gonna move on. So what difference does it make?
I don't know. This one is just, like, kind of weird and, like, racist, I feel like, in its depiction of India.
Abdul was supposed to be Indian, right? Or is he Egyptian? Okay. Because I was like, is he or... Okay.
Then they go to a restaurant and Abdul introduces them to chai, which they do seem to like. And Abdul says they just have to give India a chance. Even Jotaro seems to enjoy the atmosphere. Polnareff Polnareff has to go to the bathroom and asks him to order him something fancy and sophisticated like the Frenchman that he is, which Kakyoin says means he'll eat anything. Polnareff is pleasantly surprised by how clean the bathroom is, but discovers there's a pig in the toilet, which freaks him out. He goes to the bathroom attendant and he explains that the pig pen was built higher than it was meant to be, and the pigs come out to, check what people left them in the toilet. Apparently the manager is very into the pig, licking his butt. Polnareff is grossed out and decides to wait until they get to the hotel to use the bathroom, but as he's washing his hands, he sees a creepy reflection in the mirror. He can only see it in the mirror's reflection, but not behind him. He freaks out when he realizes that it's the mirror stand Jotaro told him about and calls on Silver Chariot to break the mirror. He doesn't see the stand or user, and he runs out of the restaurant looking for it. Everyone wonders what he's doing, and they follow. Polnareff explains that the bastard who killed his baby sister is nearby. Polnareff declares that he'll be traveling on his own now because he wants to get him all by himself to lure him out. Avdol says that's a terrible idea for him to go alone because the enemy would be exploiting his biggest weakness. Polnareff says he never cared about finding Dio, that he only wanted to kill the guy who murdered his sister. He mocks Avdol from running from Dio and says Avdol got lucky when he beat him in Hong Kong. Avdol, normally cool-headed and calm, wants to get Polnareff for that and go after him, but Joseph holds him back. He tells Polnareff that he foresaw them doing this together, and Polnareff says his divination is BS. Then we cut to this cowboy guy riding across the desert on an elephant, and there's this sleeping girl behind him. The girl begs him to marry her, but he says she's a no-good drifter and they can't have a fairy tale marriage. And she is a girl. She's 16. This dude is grown man. She's royalty and she deserves better than him, but he'll come back sometimes to hold her like this. He's lying though. He doesn't love her. As he walks away, he tells his partner Centerfold not to eavesdrop, but that he has girls all over the world like her who will do his bidding because they're in love with him. The cowboy tells Centerfold that Polnareff fell for their plan hook, line, and sinker. As they go to discuss their plans though, a cobra launches itself as the cowboy, but he pulls out his gun stand and shoots its head off. Centerfold catches it in the reflection of his glass bottle and further slices it into ribbons with his stand. The cowboy is excited to see what their stands, the Emperor and the Hanged Man, will do together. Joseph observes that Polnareff didn't come back to the restaurant. Meanwhile, Polnareff asks around town in the rain if anyone's seen a man with two right hands. This homeless old man finally points him to two men in the distance, one of which seems unaffected by the rain. But a second later, that guy disappears and we see only the cowboy from earlier, who, as he approaches Polnareff, introduces himself as Whole Horse, an assassin sent by Dio. Polnareff demands that he tells him where the man with two right hands is, but Whole Horse says he's rude. He brought him with him, but won't give up Centerfold's location. Whole Horse says that the gun is mightier than a sword, so he'll be able to beat Polnareff soundly with his gun stand. He whips out his gun and shoots at Polnareff. Polnareff takes the armor off his stand so it'll be faster, but the Emperor's bullet doesn't move in a straight line and bypasses Polnareff's sword. Whole Horse gloats to himself that by underestimating his stand, Polnareff got himself killed. The bullet is about to hit Polnareff when Avdol appears out of nowhere and knocks Polnareff out of the way. He tells Polnareff that he might be a loner, but he needs their help. But then the bullet changes direction. Kakyoin, Joseph, and Jotaro chase after Avdol, only to see him get stabbed in the back by Centerfold's stand, the Hanged Man. This stops and catches Avdol off guard, calling the bullet to hit him in the forehead. His headband falls off and he falls backwards. Whole Horse gloats that they were able to take out as formidable an enemy as Avdol, and he's excited that they did that so early because his fire would be very powerful against both his and Centerfold's stands. Kakyoin runs to Avdol's side and tries to say that it's just a minor wound, that he'll be alright, but he's clearly in shock and trying to cope. Polnareff says that's what Avdol gets for meddling in his business, and Kakyoin's like, how dare you say that? He saved your life. But then Polnareff is crying, and then he says he's sick of people up and dying on him. And yeah, that's basically where the episode ends.
It looks like with the next episode, the fight still continues, but I'm just why does Whole Horse and Centerfold not attack? Why are they not attacking right now?
Yeah.
Maybe it's their, oh, we're so noble. It's what happens half the time, but I just feel like they're not good people, so they wouldn't fight nobly,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Again, where was Anne? I feel like the pig in the toilet thing was just another way to be like, India is gross.
Yeah.
Maybe that is the way they have it. Some places, like where the waste from the toilets comes out, where animals can eat it. I don't know, but it was nasty and it didn't really need to be in there.
I could just have Polnareff goes to the bathroom, and as he's washing his hands, he sees the reflection.
Yeah. I feel like it kind of mirrors like Caesar running off on his own, Polnareff running off. I think the group, I know they kind of got sidelined there and they're trying to get to Egypt as soon as possible, but I'm pretty sure if he had asked that they probably would have helped him and it would have been better as a group for them to approach these two guys. I know they didn't probably know that the dude on the elephant was there, the whole horse guy.
Yeah.
But they knew the other guy was there and like was kind of thought like they're supposed to be getting more harder to beat as they go along, these stand users. Even if they didn't, like, let's say that this murder guy wasn't, I mean, he is like he's part of, I don't know what I'm trying to say. They're going to have to get through that guy eventually to get to Dio to Egypt because he's hired by Dio. So
Right.
they, even though the murder, like getting the murder of his sister is sort of like a side quest, he's also part of the main thing because he is one of the stand users in their way.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure they would have helped because it didn't make sense not to help. And like they all like, I don't know, they're traveling as a group. They kind of get along. Like I think it was weird for him to just go after Abdul like that too. It was like uncalled for.
Abdul just wanted to make sure he didn't like get himself hurt by doing something stupid.
I didn't really like to see, like, probably Abdul is, like, the most likable of the group. I guess maybe Kakyoin is not super annoying either. Like,
Yeah.
Polnareff is, like, kind of a douche.
He is pretty obnoxious.
Like, pompous and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. I guess at least Polnareff was crying about it. The dude on the elephant, it was like he was Crocodile Dundee or something.
Yeah, his outfit, but then also he's a cowboy.
I'm just not sure why we needed that little part there. I guess they're trying to show like a little bit of his normal character, but it looked like it was some cheesy TV show at first. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And I was kind of wondering, it just seems like the centerfold guy doesn't talk, but you said he does. So maybe he just doesn't talk much, I guess.
Yeah. So my trivia for the episode. Whole Horse is named for Hall and Oates. I can sort of see how you would get whole out of Hall, but I feel like then you go like oats. Wait, that's something horses eat. I'm like, that must have been... Like, I have no idea why whole horse equals Hall and Oates, but I'm like, that's my idea. Is that that's just how they came along. So the man with two right hands is called Centerfold in the English dub and localization, but he is originally named Jay Giles, which is the Jay Giles Band, which is the band that has the Centerfold song.
My angel is a centerfold?
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yes. I was so mad when I figured that out the first time. I was like, that's so ridiculous.
Centerfold doesn't really make sense for this. I mean, I haven't really got a super good look at him, but I feel like Centerfold almost makes sense for the rubber soul dude.
Yeah.
Running around. And was all upset about his pretty face running around shirtless and upset about his pretty face getting tore up.
Yeah.
Would you say Jay Giles?
Yeah.
That kind of wouldn't be too bad as a character name.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're like, we're naming him Centerfold. I was so mad then when I found out that's how they did the name thing. I was like, that's so silly. And then, of course, their tarot cards are the Emperor and the Hanged Man. The Emperor represents power, structure, patriarchal energy, domination, and success. He's a father-like figure and someone with masculine energy. He's there to calm chaos and offer authoritarian guidance. He is a leader, a provider, but ruthless if disagreed with. The card features a white-haired man with a beard. He holds this ball or orb in one hand and what is either a cane shaped like an ankh or a sword with an ankh-like handle in the other hand. And so I also am kind of like, why is a gun stand called the Emperor?
Okay, I'm just sort of wondering too, because I'm not sure why it's like a father-like figure.
Yeah.
Because it's literally, I think, just the gun, and then he can control like the path of the bullets and stuff too.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I don't know why that was picked for him. I almost think because of like the sort of the strength and domination aspect, it could have made more sense that strength, the ship stand, was the Emperor instead. That's just me. I don't know. And then the Hanged Man represents sacrifice, release, new perspective, and surrender. It is an indication that it is time to end old ways and release restrictions that are holding you back in life. It calls for a time of inaction and reflection. It also says you must be willing to sacrifice something to gain something new. The card features a young man hanging himself on a rafter, that would be wild, by his ankle with this really thin rope. Kind of reminds me of this one story about Odin in Norse mythology, where he kind of like he hung himself to like help himself get more power and knowledge.
I mean, the reflection part, I feel like it looks like a mechanical mummy, so like it's like kind of like a dead person.
Yeah.
And when I think hanged, I don't think of them hanging by their foot, but that they're hanging by their neck and they're dead. So I don't know. I was thinking that's maybe why it was named that. But you did mention something about reflecting or something in there, so
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of neat. I don't know. Some of these like stands are like super simple, and it's like they don't really follow any certain rules, so just sort of all over the place.
Yeah, like I feel like JoJo's stand is basically just he punches real fast.
But I mean, it's like some of them are like these little spirits, sort of, and then other ones they're like they actually are physical, and like other people can see them, and or like I don't know, like the doll is weird and like that this one comes out of reflections. I don't know. That seems like that severely limits him. What if they were just like, I think he would carry like a mirror around with him because if he was just in a room with nothing that reflected, or if he was like out in the desert and there was nothing, he didn't have like a bottle to reflect off of, like how.
Yeah.
So it's like with Polnareff in the bathroom, I mean, there were windows, I guess, could reflect, but once that mirror was busted, he couldn't attack him.
I would think that would have made it so he could attack Polnareff even harder because there's more glass shards, but yeah.
I guess, yeah.
The stands basically just have whatever rules that Araki is feeling that time when he's writing the manga. So he's just like, you know what? What if this guy could do this thing and it countered this thing? But then also this other guy would counter that by doing this.
I mean, I guess they're kind of interesting because they're all different and they look different and it's almost like, I don't know, ghosts or something. Like you got like your poltergeist and you have some that can move objects and sometimes they don't. I don't know. I'm wondering, is there going to be a story as to why the guy has two right hands?
Don't think there is. But also, I don't know, like this was a couple episodes, but like his mom in Yaba also has two right hands.
Oh, I guess I haven't noticed that. She's just like otherwise it's sort of weird.
Yeah.
Or she just doesn't look like she belongs in this series.
Yeah, she is almost in like a completely different art style.
It's like something from Labyrinth or like one of them puppets. Like, what is his name? Not Hoggle?
I think it is Hoggle.
She looks like that guy.
She does look a little Hoggle-esque.
I kind of feel like these other two dudes that are along for the trip are probably not going to make it. Like Kakyoin and Polnareff, they just kind of popped up. They're going to kill off Avdol. I'm thinking maybe Anne gets in trouble with this centerfold guy. Polnareff has to die to save her. That's my guess. I'm probably wrong.
Polnareff redemption.
Maybe. Although he doesn't really seem like he cares a whole lot. It's more like Kakyoin and Jotaro are more caring about Anne.
Yeah, I feel like they're like, we shall be like big brothers to her. No, I think Jotaro is an only child. I don't know about I don't know what his family situation is like. I forget if they ever say.
Well, she's more drawn to Jotaro anyway.
Yeah.
And then Polnareff was just kind of like a ding-dong to her about you're a poor street urchin.
Hey there, freeloader.
Yes. I don't know. I've kind of questioned his being great, like with his little sister or whatever.
Yeah.
That little interaction.
I want to say he's a himbo, but I don't know if he's nice enough to be a himbo. To at least.
Yeah, he needs to just be like a little more clueless, I guess.
Yeah.
But nicer. Accidentally insulting, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like we didn't really learn a whole lot about Avdol, but I don't really think he deserved to die that way.
Those guys, that was, he literally got stabbed in the back and then shot in the head. That's.
At least I guess it was quick.
Yeah, so I think that wraps up our discussion here.
The next two episodes, did you say that already?
No, not yet.
The next two episodes are The Emperor and the Hangman Part 2, and then The Empress. If you want to watch those episodes before our next episode comes out.
Yeah. And just, press all those buttons if you want to hear more from us. The like, subscribe, comment / review buttons wherever you're listening. And, maybe check out our other podcast if you want to hear us discuss some different shows.
And we have a presence on social media too, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, if you're wanting to see more content on there and if you're wanting to leave any comments or messages.
Yeah, we'd love to get the feedback. So until next time, I'll be the roundabout. Goodbye.
Goodbye.